Hi, it's Karen here from Swaziland this beautiful Saturday afternoon. We've been having some major issues today with Wi-Fi, and those of you who joined me, I just want to thank you for that. But you probably noticed, in fact those who did join me would have definitely noticed, that we didn't really have very good audio. In fact it was video. It was pretty scrambled. So I'm going to record this and then I'm going to post this up so that at least we've got a decent copy on the website. So we were talking this afternoon about self-talk, and in fact that's what we've been covering this whole week in social media. It's been about self-talk and the way that our mind affects our health and various other issues surrounding the way that we talk to ourselves. So I just want to begin this afternoon by commenting on Dr. Candice Popper, who discovered the opiate receptor in the brain. She's also the author of a book called Molecules of Emotion. She made a comment that says, our emotions, or what we feel, trigger chemical responses that affect our state of well-being, promote positive and negative mood, and they also impact our organs and systems function. That's quite a big statement. So what Dr. Popper is actually saying here is that the way that we think affects the way that we feel, our emotions, and those feelings actually don't just make us feel bad and affect us emotionally. Obviously that then sort of has repercussions on the way that we operate in the world with regards to our family, our friends, our job, our interactions socially, but it also has an impact on our health, our physical well-being. And if you think about it, when we get stressed, for example, if you live in stress for a prolonged period of time, the hormones that are released, the cortisols that are released, actually attack your body. You begin to actually develop all kinds of other diseases related to that, because our bodies are not designed to stay in that mode for prolonged periods of time. So the way that we think and feel actually has a profound impact in our lives, and that's why we've been talking about it this week. One of the first posts that we put up, in fact our first post on Monday, said this: no one is a failure until that is the only definition of themselves that they are willing to see within. And that for me sparked all kinds of things. When we listen to that post, when we take in those thoughts, what it is actually saying to us is we get to define whether our lives are a success or a failure. We get to make that decision in our lives. We get to define that. And if you think about it, that's the truth. We can listen to other people, we can watch other people, we can see what's going on around us, and all of that impacts our thinking and the way that we see ourselves and the way that we measure ourselves. All of that impacts us. But at the end of the day, only I can define what I see as success or failure in my life. And the measure that I use for myself will probably not be the same as the measure that you would use for yourself. And I gave an example this afternoon in the live talk where I was saying that I have two acquaintances, and one is a very successful business person. He's a billionaire, and his measure of success has always been very much decided by his business acumen and basically about the money that he's managed to accumulate over the years. That is his measure of success. That is how he has defined his life. And that is the standard that he measures his life. On the other side, I have another friend of ours who 2 years ago was diagnosed and given 6 months to live. His measure of success is being able to get up every day and carry on working, carry on living a healthy life, spending time with his family. That is his measure of success in his life. That's how he can define it. So we can see two very, very different measures. Nobody can say either is right or wrong, because as I've said, at the end of the day, it's how we define it in our own lives. We get to make that decision. And that's huge. That is huge. And as it's saying, if we decide in our minds that we are a failure, how do you recover from that? Because if you've decided in your own heart and in your own mind that you are a failure, then we kind of lose hope. And without hope in our lives, what do we have left? So if you feel that you've been weighed down recently by this idea that you're failing in your life, please, I want you to stop and reassess and say, okay, what are my values? What is my definition of success in my life? What is my definition of failure? And whose opinion am I listening to? Whose values am I taking on? Mine, or am I hearing it from other people? And that kind of leads me on to another quote that we had this week. It was Thursday's quote, and it says this: control your thinking or the world will dictate it for you. How true is that? That follows on from what I'm just saying now. That if we don't take time to take stock of what is important to me and what my values are and what I believe and what I want to be thinking about, if I don't take my thoughts captive, then the world is just going to bombard me. And we know how that happens today with social media and TV and, gosh, billboards, magazines. It's everywhere. So if we don't take time out of our very, very busy lives and say, okay, what values have I got? What is important to me? Then the world will dictate to you what your values should be. You'll be listening to the voices that tell you how thin you should be, what you should wear, what you should look like, what is the definition of beauty, what you need to buy, what you need to have, what you need to own to be successful. So, as I've said, we need to take time out to stop and start thinking about those things. Where did those thoughts come from? That I'm measuring myself, that I feel I have to have this, I have to do this, I have to. Where is that thinking coming from? And how is that affecting the way that you see yourself? And how is that affecting the way that you're operating in your own life? And how is that affecting your mental health and your well-being? Because if it's having a negative impact, you really need to do something about it. And the only person that can do that is you. Yeah, that's quite a challenge for today, isn't it? But it's so true. The last thought that I want us to give a little bit of thinking to this afternoon was Friday's post, and it was talking about speaking kindly to yourself. So what I was saying in that post was that sometimes it's not just the words that we say, although, I mean, I know I find myself sometimes saying some pretty ugly things to myself, and I stop and I think, wow, if I had said that to one of my children or to one of my friends, I probably wouldn't have many friends left at the moment, and my children would definitely have had something to say about it. But yet we speak like that to ourselves. We call ourselves, we say things like, oh gosh, you know, I'm so stupid, or I can't do that, I'm not capable of this, I don't have the skill, I don't have the ability, I don't have... And we tell ourselves these things again and again. And as I've said, we don't often even realize we're doing it. And so it's not just the words we use, but also the way that we say those things to ourselves. We can be very unkind in the way that we speak to ourselves. And so Friday's challenge was very much about stopping. I have, and I refer to this again on in Friday's post, I've kind of designed a big orange button in my brain. And when I feel myself going down the road where I know I don't like what I'm saying to myself, or I'm going to say something to somebody else which I know is not going to be the right thing to do, I push this big orange pause button in my brain. And it gives me just that moment to stop and think and take that thought captive and decide, is this really what I want to say to myself, to the other person? And it just gives me that moment to stop and analyse before it comes out of my mouth, whether this is really what I should be thinking, or is this really what I want to be saying? That's how you begin to take your thoughts captive. So that's what we've been talking about on social media this week. Please drop any comments in the comments box below. We would love to hear your thoughts, your true thoughts on what I've been sharing this afternoon. And also, last week while I was doing the research on this, I actually sat down and I put together a little ebook, which is on our website and it's out there for free. I'm going to put a link onto this post when I've finished. You'll be able to follow that link and you'll be able to download that ebook for free. So again, when you've read it, there's a few little exercises in there to get you thinking. There's also a very cool little bingo card for you to play just to see, how well am I doing and what kind of areas could I improve on maybe when it comes to self-talk. So yeah, please make use of that. It's given to you with our love, and just let us know what you think about that. Otherwise, have an amazing weekend. Hope you guys have some downtime, take some time out, stop and do some thinking, do some soul searching. But otherwise, have an amazing weekend. Okay, that's love from Karen. Bye.